Hi there, and welcome back to Straight Talk for Mental Health. I'm Karen Goslin. We are KG and Associates, and I'm here with my associate today, Janice D'Souza. Welcome, Janice. How are you?
Hi, Karen. I'm good. I think I was just telling you earlier, it feels like so much positivity with the sun all out and the longer days. It feels good.
I know it's been such a game changer this month, and I know it's been a bit of a psych out because we had all that warm weather a couple of
I
weeks
know.
ago, and then I know I was saying to somebody, I jinxed it. I took the snow tires off my car. And then I go pick up my car, and the next day I'm wiping ice off the windshield. It was crazy.
Oh,
So
no.
it's sunny today, but it's still quite
Mhm.
cool. And yeah, we're supposed to have our tennis opener tomorrow, and probably it'll get rained out. But the days are longer. There's more
Mhm.
sunshine, and sometimes what I think is, January 1st is a benchmark time. I always think the Tuesday after Labor Day is a benchmark time where we
Mhm.
take stock and look at what's going on in our lives and what we need to be doing. And then I started realizing spring, although there's maybe not any actual date, a lot of people celebrate Easter or Passover and some rituals that go along with that.
Mhm.
But I know that Easter, for example, the date's always changing. So even though we don't have an actual specific date, maybe the first day of spring, March 21st, um, it's a different time of the year that really stands out, right?
It is. Yeah.
And I really want to talk to you about that today in terms of what the springtime means for us, what it means for our clients, what it means for our listeners. So what do you do differently in the spring from other times of the year?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. And I think for me, it's almost like as soon as I know that time change is happening, I am just automatically like, okay, we're getting more sun, more daylight. I think that energy just feels greater during the day. So it's like even in the evenings around 7, like it's nice. So it doesn't feel so like dark. But something that I do definitely, and I'm big on cleaning. So I actually do the whole spring cleanup with my environment and space. And I like to toss away everything I've been hoarding for like years. And I think I'm someone that just when my environment has like it's clean and everything's in place, I naturally just feel good. So that's like I definitely engage in the spring cleanup. And I think what I do as well is I take more walks outside. Especially when the weather is nicer. I enjoy taking more walks outside. It's such a breather of fresh air and a change of environment. So yeah, those are like the two key things that really keep me going during this time.
Right. Well, I love that. I was going to talk about the cleaning, but I want to jump on what you just said about walking, right? And whether we mentioned this in other podcasts around depression, I don't honestly
Mhm.
remember. But I remember reading this article years ago on brain health, right? And what happens when we walk outside. So, for any of our listeners today that might be feeling that level of depression,
Mhm.
and what I often say to clients is no matter, what the weather's like, try to push yourself out the door for 20 minutes. And even
Yes.
if you have to bundle up, but yeah, it is easier to do it when it's sunny or warmer out. But they actually did research that showed chemical changes in the brain for outdoor walking, right?
Mhm.
So this whole cliche of like, I went for a walk to clear my head. It's like there's actually research that verifies that.
Mhm.
Chemical changes in the brain for mood when we expose ourselves to outside elements and walk. So this idea that maybe it's a little easier to do that with the nicer weather, our
Yeah.
brain is going to thank us, right? Our brain is going to go, thank you for doing that. But I know it's hard sometimes when we're not feeling good.
Mhm.
I know it's part of our mechanical functioning and daily self-care with our work, and how important that is to be outside,
Mhm.
because it can take a push, especially, depression feels like that heavy wet blanket, and just that little push, or sometimes I guess it's a big push to get ourselves out. Cleaning, oh my gosh, right? So I'm half Ukrainian. My mother, there was three of us kids and my dad. My mother spring cleaned the entire house twice a year. Whatever you and I probably did in the spring, she did again in the fall. And
Wow.
I don't know how she did it. But I grew up with that as well. So it's so interesting that you do it too. I wonder if a lot of therapists do spring cleaning.
Yeah, I just
It's a healthy
that's
habit to have.
interesting.
I took 5 days and cleaned everything top to bottom in my house.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm always surprised by how much has accumulated, like you said, whatever secret hoarding you've done.
Mhm.
I'm like, I cannot believe, I had a huge pile at the road yesterday because our garbage collection was coming. I please take everything, and how much we've accumulated that we don't need, right?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
then donating to charity or recycling something or giving it away. It's this cleaning out, right? And I think our environments have a direct impact on our mental.
Mhm.
Years ago, I
Absolutely.
remember looking at a coaching certificate program, and they talked about the habits that the attendees of this program were expected to have. And the first habit was make your bed. I always do it as soon as I get up. But
Yeah.
it wasn't just make your bed, it was actually, yeah, make your bed as soon as you get up, right?
Yes. I've heard that. I've heard that as a common practice for sure. Like the first good habit when you wake up is to just set the bed. It feels good. I'm guilty growing up, like in high school and stuff. I was so bad with this, but I've like getting into like adulthood, I realized the importance of it. Like it just looks so nice when you get into your bedroom, it's all set. It's a good feeling.
I know, isn't that amazing? It is kind of amazing, and, yeah, it's just a good feeling to have it organized.
Mhm,
I know that when we can organize our outside chaos, it can help to reorganize the internal chaos,
mhm,
right? So, a lot of what we're talking about today with the springtime is those external factors. As therapists, we spend so much time talking about the internal world,
mhm.
but sometimes we have to balance that with looking at the external pieces in our life to understand what attention those things need to actually help the internal. Yeah.
For
So,
sure.
yeah, I have a system, and I know Mary Kwan talks about this. If I haven't used it in a year, I don't need it. I don't need it. Whether it's clothes or shoes or spices, um,
Mhm,
and and I either throw it out or I donate, and it's
mhm.
and it's a really good way of purging. What do you do when you clean?
Pretty much the same, like, either whatever is good to donate to charity, I'll do that, and then whatever needs to be tossed away, I do that as well. I know I'm such a big clothes hoarder, so I'm always like, "No, I'll wear it eventually," but I think I've come to terms to do the one-year thing where it's like, "Okay, I didn't even know this item existed. It's definitely, like, years old. I think it's time to donate it." And it's like, there's still good stuff, but, there's no point of holding on to it because my closet, oh my goodness, there's just no space to do anything in there. So
You need
definitely that's
you need
like,
a you need a dressing room like I, developed in my house. I love it. It's my new favorite space. And even then, yeah, I didn't even have enough storage for all my clothes, but I
yeah.
really tried hard this year. And for me, I'm in a different age group than you, and our weight changes, I'm menopausal, and I had all of these pants and jeans that oh yeah, one day I'll wear them. And I just, this year went, okay, embrace my new stage of life.
Yeah.
Um, those whatever size 4 jeans, that just ain't gonna happen, and somebody else could be wearing them, and they're
Yeah.
good pieces of clothes. So, yeah, sometimes we accept kind of where we
Mhm,
are, and, whether we're talking about clothes or spices or, pieces around the house, but obviously the invitation is also into our internal minds,
mhm,
because when we organize the outside chaos and it invites us to organize the internal
mhm.
chaos, it is kind of like what we do with clients in terms of what thoughts aren't serving me,
Yeah.
what relationships are not serving me, what dysregulated emotions are taking me off track. So this podcast, this recording today goes beyond, purging in your house, but purging in your mind,
Mhm,
because the mindset that gets created from choosing what we're going to think about, choosing where our focus goes, this is the game changer,
Yeah.
because we know that when we focus on the negative, obviously more negative things will happen. What do you think about that idea in the work that we do?
Yeah, I think with spring cleanup and how, like you said, that physical portion, cleaning your environment, making sure that space is clean and all. I like to also look at it as a new beginning, not just with your physical environment, but even internally, because like you said, it's a good opportunity to really like own in on what are our past regrets, where does the negativity lie, what, like you said, what relationships no longer serve us or what situations no longer serve us, and
Right?
what's causing that mental clutter for us. Because along with the physical clutter around us, I'm sure a lot of us with the dysregulated emotions and thoughts, we often find ourselves so overwhelmed because there's so much just racing through our minds. And I think just recognizing what that piece is and being able to kind of, whether that's sitting with your thoughts and emotions, clearing your headspace. So, really like decluttering mentally as well, I feel is so key.
Oh, yeah. I hope our listeners just heard that. What a phrase, Janice. I love it. Mental clutter, right? We're all guilty of having that, and
Yes.
too much coming at us and too much to think about, racing thoughts,
Mhm.
panicked thoughts, and mental clutter. The phrase I was reminded of recently was mental economy.
Mm,
Mental economy, right? This idea of, how is what I'm thinking about serving me rather than costing me, right? Supply and demand, costs and benefits, mental clutter. Yeah, this is a good time of year, I think, to take a step back and think about
mhm,
what I'm thinking about, and trying to pick and choose where we really benefit putting our
mhm.
focus. And yeah, it's positivity with the sunshine. So we take all the good of that, but at the same time, what do we do with this negative?
Yes. Mm.
I love that mental clutter. We should put that on our website or somewhere, but that's great. What are you seeing around the cluttering with the clients that you're working with in terms of the younger demographics? What's the cluttering at that age? Like for me, it's my size 4 jeans. What is it with the younger folks?
Yeah, a lot of like recent talk that I've been having with clients of the population that I serve is the clutter or the decluttering of the use of social media and technology. And more clients of that age group are coming to me and saying, I keep comparing myself to what I see on social media. I'm constantly spending all of my time in it. I'm not having productive time. And now a goal that they're all setting for themselves is how do I give myself that space away from looking at social media. And some of the goals that they're actually setting as part of their self-care or mindfulness is to have no screen time, where they're willing to put away their phone for whether that's 30 minutes or an hour before going to bed or even waking up. They're really starting to make those small changes. So not waking up looking at your phone or not going to bed before looking at social media. And I love how they bring that into our sessions where they're recognizing, okay, some parts of social media is not healthy for me. It's almost causing more of that mental clutter because now it's adding on to more anxious thoughts, more comparing thoughts to others and what they're seeing and making those comparisons to their life. So I think that's a huge thing I'm noticing, just that moving away or decluttering from the use of social media and the amount of time being spent on it.
Yeah. The mindless scrolling, right? How are we also guilty of that? And I think the pandemic worsened all of those habits
Yes.
so many ways because that became our world more than ever before. And then
Yeah.
even though the actual world is opening up, it's like I'm still attached to that
Hmm.
scrolling. And I love that people are bringing that as ideas. People are I guess, getting more honest with themselves about what the scrolling is doing to
Yes.
them mentally and socially. And I also think of people who have attention deficit. It is just fuel, fuel for
Yes.
that distractibility,
Hmm.
and because everything is so fast, as we know on the internet, all these pop-ups, and what about this? I mean,
I
you can
know.
literally, spend hours. I'm always surprised, even when I'm doing my research on internet, it's like the time that goes by because you get engrossed in so many different things. And
Hmm.
I guess what I'm hearing from you about this is kind of having some selective process of deciding kind of when to get off, how much time to spend with it, like having a more kind of maybe acute selective process to be more aware. And then I guess it's a lot like any other habits we're trying to break in some way
Mhm.
where we have to set a boundary.
Yes.
I like the idea of choosing a certain period of time to be, device free, whether it's
Mhm.
an hour a day or a week. I'm
Yes.
seeing this a lot. Vacations, from
Yeah.
people will announce it. I'm going off my social media.
Yeah.
If you don't hear from me, I'm okay. I just won't be able to respond.
Yeah.
Um, and I also, obviously, it's been a big part of our sleep hygiene practice of
Mhm.
trying to either reduce
Yes.
the light on our phones or to have a different
Yeah.
wind down of actual reading, actual books kind of
Yeah.
thing. So this is good. I think it's good for us to have our own discipline on it and to teach our clients and for listeners out there that may even be thinking, hey, like how much time am I? Where is my mental clutter?
Yeah.
Is it my closet? Is it my phone?
Yeah.
Where is there too much coming at me and what is not serving me anymore? I think it's kind of a good thing to be thinking about. And yeah, teaching that mental hygiene or the sleep hygiene and kind of like addressing our clutter. I also think about, okay, so gardening is so therapeutic. We pull out weeds, we water, we make sure things are planted in the right place for the sunshine. And
Mhm.
as much as we focus on decluttering, I always think it's a great time of the year to get involved in something new, because the world is opening up. And so we want to make our lives bigger with new ideas
Mhm.
and focusing on the positive as well. What do you think you would do with that?
Yeah, I've actually been thinking of getting into some dance lessons, to try like a new style of dance that I'm not comfortable with. Like I personally enjoy dancing, in general, but I was really thinking of trying a new style. I haven't really decided yet. I'm still doing some research on it, but just to kind of test my skills and see like what I enjoy and just having like a refresher, like something different, something new to look forward to. So that's definitely, something I've kind of been considering as my growth. And I really like that you talk about it as growth. We're talking about the decluttering and all of this, but there's also that piece of like growing, challenging yourself, whether that's with a new opportunity or just challenging our mindsets as well is really key during this time too.
Yeah, some growth, right? Flowers are blooming, and yeah, I just started a photography course. So I was a couple of weeks ago down at the beaches and trying out new methods, and I remember I woke up and I remember there was a lot of stress going on that morning, and I was like, this is where that mechanical functioning goes, and there was something going on, and I was upset about it, and then I'm like, no, like I booked this afternoon with myself with my camera as soon as I was out there and I was doing some live images of waves and everything, it was like as soon as your focus is on something so beautiful and so
Mhm.
positive and you're feeling creative, like you're
Yeah.
creating something. I always think artists have like a one up on mental health because
Yes.
they have such a creative brain to kind of
Hmm.
use for focusing and I know it's a kind of invigorating. Yeah, so this whole growth of the new season. So this is good. So I think for any of our listeners today, we want to have deep compassion for how hard it is for people when the world opens up. Uh,
Hmm.
Helping maybe some of our listeners think about what small step could they take to be outside, to, expose to the vitamin D of the sun,
Yeah.
to feel the fresh air, even opening the windows in the house. My house smells completely different when the windows are open and that fresh air is coming through.
Hmm.
Um, Taking some stock of what's serving you
Yeah.
internally and externally to get rid of things you don't need that you're not using. and to think about what your next step on your growth is. What would be new or different? Um, with the couples I work with, I call these connecting rituals, right? I love this idea that we will go do or learn something new together that we've
Mm.
never done before. And it keeps the dating world fresh because we're doing something new. And that's good for us as individuals as well. Sometimes we'll share it with a friend, but just experiencing something new on our own, it really exposes us to something new. So yeah, I guess it's about small steps to get outside, decluttering things that aren't serving you, and then this whole idea of where is my growth next.
Yes.
You said dancing. So your generation is so funny around weddings, right? You guys are doing things that we never did, right? In the
Yeah.
80s and 90s. And I'm hearing this all the time. And so dancing, I know of somebody who like the wedding party is doing dance rehearsals every Sunday
Yeah, yeah.
because and I've seen this in our own family too. Like the wedding party used honestly, the wedding party used to be in the hall and the bride and groom would come in. And then I started seeing
Right.
bride and grooms when they come in, they have to do this whole big dance.
Yeah.
And now it's like the whole wedding party is doing this dance. And I was like, what a commitment that the wedding party is literally meeting every Sunday leading up to the wedding
Yes.
practice. Are you guys doing dancing in your wedding?
Yeah, we are for sure. So it's like I resonate so well. And like we've like a couple of years ago, like good friends have gotten married too, and we've had all these dance practices. And I think something I noticed, and especially because my wedding's coming up in summer, like just with the
Right.
whole like what we're talking about with the growth and everything, it's really that time prior to the wedding where all your close people come together and really like grow as people too, because you're seeing more of each other, you're spending that time, you're putting in those efforts up until this big moment. So all the emotions and everything are so high too. So I think that's why like those dance practices, like everyone looks forward to it because it's like that
I know.
pre-build up to the
I
big day. But
know,
yeah.
I know, I love it. I remember the first time I was at a wedding, a family wedding when that happened, I was like, "This is incredible," because it just punctuated the beginning of the reception in such a fun way, and
Yes.
everybody's all of a sudden, everybody's in the mood, so yeah, your wedding's just around the corner, and obviously, we do see higher levels of, weddings during this time of year,
Mhm.
the June bride, we used to call it, and yeah, so it's the season of getting married too. So we'll have more to say on that in future podcasts. So I hope our listeners heard something today that could be helpful in terms of steps and purging and growing. And please reach out to us if you want to book an assessment to look at your own mental health, your own well being. And if you're struggling on any of those pieces, figuring out how to have a conversation with us that could be helpful in that. I'm Karen Goslin. You can reach me at 647-985-0633. My direct email is karenrsw@yahoo.ca. And Janice, your contact information?
Yeah, for sure. So my direct line is 416-316-7686, and my email is j6dsouza@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thanks, Janice, and happy spring, everybody.